It's been 9 months since British Columbia decriminalized possession of small amounts of drugs. Vancouver police hosted a news conference today, noting that there has been a dramatic decrease in drug seizures since the new law took effect. Kier Junos has been following this story.
Thanks, Kate. The Vancouver police says it cut down on seizures of small amounts of drugs after decriminalization came into effect in BC. In January last year, the province got a 3-year exemption to Canada's Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, allowing people to carry up to 2.5 grams of cocaine, opioids, and MDMA as part of a decriminalization pilot project. The idea behind this was to remove the stigma and barriers that keep people from life-saving supports and services during an ongoing toxic drug crisis that has killed around 14,000 people since a public health emergency was declared in 2016. Inspector Phil Hurd says small drug seizures went down 76% compared to a previous 4-year average.
Review of VPD data confirmed that all seizures following decriminalization coming into effect were fully compliant with the Health Canada exemption. In fact, the average weight of drugs seized in each incident was more than 80 grams. This is an amount that is more than 30 times the 2.5 gram threshold. Claims that VPD officers are seizing more drugs at or below the 2.5 gram threshold are clearly false.
Now, critics of the VPD are pointing out that the police's own data, reviewed by City News, shows much the opposite of what Inspector Hurd is saying, that the police, in fact, increased drug seizures in the time since decriminalization. But Inspector Phil Hurd made a point at the beginning of the press conference on Tuesday that any interpretations of this data are entirely incorrect. For the drug seizures that actually did happen, he says up to 6 different items might have been confiscated in each seizure incident, but he couldn't immediately provide how many arrests might have been involved during those seizures or what the motives were of the suspects in those seizures, like if they were actually involved in bona fide drug trafficking or maybe holding onto the drugs for personal use.
They're seizing less drugs. Odds are that's what they're doing. But there's better odds that they're giving them tickets for worse things.
Look at you two.
Martin Stewart is with the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users and says he believes the police are likely cutting down on smaller drug seizures, but Stewart says that when police check to see if someone is holding an amount of drugs below the legal limit, that becomes a doorway for getting searched by police for other illegal substances not part of the Health Canada exemption and more. Giving us a legal limit is just an excuse to get pulled over and checked for anything that you have on you, whether it be a weapon, whether it be any other narcotic that's not listed. There's so much that's not listed in that decrim that they could find on you and you'd still get the same fine as if because it doesn't fall under the limit. Advocates for people using drugs have pointed out problems with the 2.5 gram legal limit, which they believe is too low and even causes safety issues. So when they go to buy, they just buy what they normally get anyway, and they go back to the house, and they're like, okay, I'm only allowed to have 2.5. I better use more than I normally would. So if a cop does knock on the door because somebody's seen me come home, and they see the paraphernalia, they don't grab it up and put it on the scale and see that it's over 2.5. In Vancouver, Kier Junos, City News.